She was screaming over the loud music, holding a red cup like she owned the ocean. I stood at the edge of my fence line, watching 50 people dance around bonfires on my beach, the same land I bought 2 months ago. The sign, private property, no trespassing, was right there, but apparently HOA Karen and her friends couldn't read when they were drunk. When I stepped closer, one of the guys yelled, "Hey man, this is a members-only party." Members of what, I wondered, because that patch of sand and water wasn't under any HOA authority anymore. It was part of the parcel I'd legally purchased after the old owner split from the community deed. I'd even checked with the county clerk twice. Karen spotted me and stormed over in her sparkling flip-flops and that fake confidence she always wore. "Excuse me? You can't be here," she said, waving her margarita like a badge. "This entire area is HOA property. We voted for this event." I stayed calm. "Karen, this land belongs to me. You're trespassing." She laughed, loud and ugly. "Oh, please. You think buying a little dirt gives you rights over our beach? I've been running this community for 8 years, and trust me, you'll regret challenging me." I pulled out my phone and showed her the digital deed. "This says otherwise." She slapped the phone out of my hand and shouted toward her group, "Everyone, he's harassing us again!" Within seconds, a few of her friends circled around, filming. She whispered something to one of them, and he nodded before walking off toward the parking lot. My gut told me she wasn't done. Karen never stopped at yelling. Minutes later, 2 local security guards showed up, flashing lights like it was some official operation. "Sir, we've got a report. You're trespassing on HOA property," one said. I looked him in the eyes. "Who called this in?" Karen raised her hand. "I did. He's refusing to leave." I smiled, because I recognized the badge patch on the guard's uniform. It wasn't law enforcement. It was private, and I happened to know their supervisor, a man who'd helped me with shoreline permits.
The music kept pounding as the ocean waves crashed behind it, but all I could hear was Karen's voice, shrill, entitled, and completely wrong. The guards looked confused now. I calmly picked up my phone from the sand, brushed it off, and hit record. "Karen," I said, keeping my voice level, "you're on camera. This land is deeded to me, and you just called in fake security pretending they had authority here." Her smirk faltered for half a second. "I did not. They're with us. The HOA hired them. You're the one trespassing, and I'll have you fined." I tilted my phone toward the beach crowd. "Then all these people are trespassing too, right? Because the deed says private property, and not one of you asked permission to be here." Someone in the crowd muttered, "Wait, is that true?" Another voice followed, "Karen said the HOA owned this beach." Karen's eyes flashed. "Shut up, all of you! He's lying! This area's been ours for decades!" That's when headlights swept across the sand. A sheriff's truck pulled up. Karen instantly flipped her tone. "Finally, officer, arrest this man for harassment." But when the deputy stepped out, he looked straight at me and grinned. "Evening, Tom. Didn't expect to find you working overtime." Karen froze. "Wait, you know him?" "Yeah, Tom's the guy who restored this property. We ran his land records ourselves when he bought it." He turned serious. "Now, who's throwing an unlicensed beach event with open alcohol and illegal fires?" You could almost hear the record scratch. Karen's face went pale. There must be some mistake." The deputy pointed to the roaring fire pit. "No, ma'am, there's not. And whoever organized this could be facing fines and environmental violations." Karen tried to talk over him, but her voice cracked. Her perfect little kingdom was slipping fast. I just crossed my arms, watching her crumble. Then her private security started whispering among themselves. One of them looked at me and said quietly, "She told us this land belonged to the HOA. We didn't know." That's when I realized Karen hadn't just thrown a wild party on my land. She'd dragged her whole HOA board into something. The sheriff picked up one of the charred papers near the fire pit, squinting at the HOA letterhead. "Well, this is interesting," he said. "Looks like someone submitted a fake event permit under the county's name."
He turned it toward Karen. "You want to explain why your name's on the organizer line?" Karen's mouth opened, but nothing came out. The crowd had gone silent now. No more music, no more laughter. Just the sound of the waves and the crackle of the dying fire. That's not fake," she stammered finally. "Our president, Mr. Jeffries, handled it. I just, approved the party. It's a community thing." The deputy raised a brow. "Community thing? On private property you don't own?" She tried to smile, but her voice shook. "It's always been ours. Everyone knows that beach belongs to the HOA. I stepped forward. "Then how come the county maps and property lines show otherwise? I paid taxes on this land. You didn't. And your president submitted a fraudulent permit using my parcel number." A murmur ran through the group. Someone whispered, "She's screwed." Karen spun toward her board members, desperation all over her face. "Don't just stand there. Tell them the HOA controls this beach." But one man, older, quiet, probably one of the board members, shook his head slowly. "Karen, Jeffries told us the sale was illegal. But I checked last week. It wasn't. You lied to us." The sheriff turned to his radio. "Dispatch, I'm going to need county compliance to review a forged permit and potential trespassing case at Sandpoint Bay." Karen's jaw dropped. No, you can't. This is just a misunderstanding." "A misunderstanding? You forged a county document through an illegal party and tried to have me removed from my own land?" She took a shaky step closer. "You don't get it. Jeffrey said if we lost this beach, our property values would tank. He told me to do it, okay?" The sheriff looked at her sharply. "So the HOA president told you to falsify a government form?" She froze. Everyone stared. You could feel the tension thick in the air. I looked at her, voice calm. "Karen, you just admitted that on camera." Her face went white. She turned, scanning the crowd, every single phone pointing at her. She'd tried to humiliate me in front of everyone, and now her own confession might be the thing that sends her president straight to prison. The sheriff called in another unit, and soon red and blue lights flickered across the sand. Karen stood frozen, clutching her phone like it could save her, while her party guests scattered toward the parking lot. The loud music was gone, replaced by the low hum of police radios and the occasional splash of waves. Deputy Collins walked up beside me. "Tom, you mind if we take your statement?" "Of course," I said. "Everything's on video. The property lines, her fake permit, her own confession, all of it." Karen finally found her voice. "You don't understand. I didn't mean to forge anything. Jeffries told me to host the event to keep the community spirit alive. He said he'd handle the papers." The sheriff nodded slowly. "Well, ma'am, if that's true, we'll verify it. But forging county documents, hosting an unlicensed event, and trespassing on private property, those aren't community activities. Those are crimes." She tried to rush toward him, pleading, "Please, I can fix this." He stopped her cold. "You can explain that to the county prosecutor." Two officers guided her toward the cruiser, her flip-flops dragging in the sand. Her once loud crowd stayed dead quiet, no one daring to defend her now. As she passed me, she hissed under her breath, "You think you've won, but Jeffries won't go down easy." I looked her straight in the eye. "Karen, I don't fight dirty. I just tell the truth. That's what gets people like him caught." She turned away, but I saw the fear sink in. Later that night, as the deputies packed up and the beach went still again, Collins came over. "You did good staying calm. Most people would have lost it." I shrugged. "I learned a long time ago, when people like her abuse power, all you need is proof and patience." He smiled. "Well, you've got both, and from what I've heard, the county has already been investigating Jeffries for property fraud. Her statement just nailed the case shut." For a moment, I just looked at the shoreline, the moonlight glinting on the water I'd worked months to restore. My land, my peace. The next morning, the news broke. HOA president under federal investigation for forged permits and property fraud. The same HOA that had once bullied homeowners into silence was now on every local headline, exposed by their own arrogance. As for Karen, she tried to apologize later through her lawyer, blaming miscommunication. I didn't bother replying.
because some people don't understand ownership until the law reminds them whose name is really on the land. I smiled, locked the new gate on my beach, and whispered to myself, I didn't fight this hard just to let anyone steal my freedom again. And for the first time in months, the only sound left on my beach was peace.